Trump is now out with a third ad hitting Joe Biden on law and order stuff. Take a look.
Seattle's pledge to defund its police department by 50%, even including a proposal to remove 911 dispatchers from police control.
Joe Biden said he's absolutely on board with defunding the police. Listen closely.
Yes, absolutely.
Hello, you've reached 911. I'm sorry that there is no one here to answer your emergency call, but leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Crime will rise significantly. I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Can you stop embarrassing yourself, please? This isn't working, and it's not going to work. And by the way, that ad has a brazen lie in it. They have Sean Hannity saying, like, Biden said he wants to defund the police, and then you hear Biden say, like, yes, absolutely, or something. He did not say that in response to a question about defunding the police. In fact, he said the opposite. He said, I'm not in favor of defunding police. That's what he said. He wants to increase police funding and also have some funds redirected towards, certain things that the cops shouldn't have to do, but do at the moment. Like, okay, we need some more mental health professionals and rehab people and, stuff like that. Joe Biden was the author of the crime bill. The crime bill is mass incarceration. Now, I criticize him on that. Why? Because I'm to the left of that. I don't want to lock people up for nonviolent drug offenses like Joe Biden did. Now, Trump and the Republicans, on the other hand, they all claim to be tough on crime and act like they're tough on crime. So really, they should be praising Joe Biden for the crime bill because they believe in the crime bill. They all voted for the crime bill. Now, Trump just makes less than no sense because this is a dude who signed the First Step Act, which is a very small step towards, reversing the trends of mass incarceration. But instead of hitting Biden on that and saying, actually, I'm to the left of him on this and I'm freeing nonviolent drug offenders and I signed the First Step Act, what does he do? He pivots to the right of him, plays the macho man law and order game, and acts like extremist, radical, Antifa, Marxist Joe Biden. Nobody is going to believe that. Joe Biden has a very long political track record. Joe Biden is a tried and true neoliberal corporatist, effectively a moderate Republican. So when you hit the moderate Republican and act like he's some sort of commie, nobody across the country is going to believe that except the people who are already high on Donald Trump's farts. The people who already, whatever Daddy Trump says is great and I agree with it and I love it. And that's only 30% of the country. So everybody else is like, what are you doing? The idea that in Joe Biden's America, you pick up the phone and you call the cops and they're like, oh my God, they're not there. We've abolished the police under Joe Biden. Oh my God. How stupid. How stupid. And by the way, there have already been ads on this. Trump has gone down in the polls. So he releases it again. He's going to go down even more. Are you incapable of learning? Are you incapable of course correcting and adjusting? And in the previous ads, this is my favorite of everything. They show video of Trump's America with buildings burning. And they say, this is what Joe Biden's America is going to look like. The video was taken in Trump's America. That is literally what your America looks like. And by the way, there's a very persuasive argument that Trump is pouring fuel on the fire on a regular basis. I think that if he wasn't deploying federal troops and he didn't threaten the Insurrection Act, these protests would have died off a hell of a lot sooner. It's when he steps up and says, well, now I'm going to send these thug federal agents wearing camo for no reason to arrest random protesters, that gets more people out there, you jackass! Because then people go, oh, well, now I have a patriotic duty to show up because, look at what's going on. Look at this authoritarian crackdown. I can't let this stand. He's such a piece of garbage, man. He's such a piece of garbage. This is the worst campaign I've ever seen. And the fact that I keep coming back to, which is amazing to me, is that this is the first time in the history of modern America since we've been polling elections where A presidential candidate has been leading the other presidential candidate, and it's always been more than the margin of error. That's what's happening now with Joe Biden. He's been leading Trump the entire time and always by more than the margin of error. In July of 2016, Hillary was up 4 points on Trump. In July of 2020, Biden is up 15 points on Trump. Now, you could scream fake news, you could scream 2016, you could scream silent majority, Trump people will show up anyway. They already crunched the numbers on that. Somebody did the study. If you had the same number of people with the secret Trump vote that came out in 2020, Joe Biden would still win 310 electoral votes. But listen, I don't even know why I'm doing this segment, because by all means, I encourage Donald Trump. Keep going down this path. Keep pretending Joe Biden is an Antifa Marxist, and keep pretending that he's against law and order and he's for chaos in the streets and all that stuff. And you'll just continue to plummet in the polls. Seriously, one of the most embarrassing campaigns I've ever seen. Do you have any idea? Trump could have won this election. Here's all he had to do. Step number 1, run the exact same playbook you ran against Hillary. That's step number 1. The exact same playbook. You hit him on corruption. You hit him on the Iraq war. You hit him on outsourcing the jobs. That's step 1. He is Hillary Clinton. That's step 1. He is Hillary Clinton. You run that exact same campaign. Outside of that, all Trump had to do was never stop pretending to lead on COVID. So when he took that break from, his poll numbers were up when he was doing the daily press briefings when it came to COVID-19. Then he stopped. It went down immediately because people were like, oh, he's not even trying to fight the problem. So all he had to do was pretend to lead on COVID like Andrew Cuomo did, have the regular press conferences. If he had just ordered universal masks in like April, the death rate would at least be cut in half, and he would look like he's leading if he does the daily press conferences. That, and just if he had passed a recurring stimulus check for the remainder of the crisis. That's it. That's all it would have taken. Treat Joe Biden exactly like he's Hillary Clinton. Step number 1. Step number 2, lead, or at the very least pretend to lead on coronavirus. Should have kept doing those daily press conferences and pretending like you're a serious man who's in control of all this. Universal mask mandate in like April or even May, let's say. I think he still would have gotten the grace if he did that. And then a recurring stimulus check through the remainder of the crisis. If he had just done those things, what was it, 4 things, 5 things I said? That's it. He would have won. He would have won. Instead, he's a total mess. He's got no idea whether he's coming or going. He's hitting Joe Biden in the dumbest ways imaginable. He hasn't led it all on coronavirus. Our death toll is 144,000 and rising rapidly. The rest of the developed world has been beating our ass. The only people who are somewhat in league with how bad we did is maybe Brazil and India. This is why he's getting his ass kicked. You think you're going to win an election, casually win an election when 144,000 people died on your watch because of a pandemic, and you have 20% real unemployment and 32% of people can't pay their housing bill? You think you're going to win re-election like that? And meanwhile, you're hitting Joe Biden on the made-up problem that he wants to defund the police when he doesn't. The guy who wrote the crime bill wants to defund the police. You're incredibly embarrassing. I don't, if you're somebody who's on the right and you happen to be watching this clip, I pity you. You're embarrassing. Even you know that if Donald Trump did the things I said, he'd probably win. But he didn't do any of those things. And now he's down. So instead of deflecting and obfuscating and saying, but my 2016, it ain't 2016, bitch. It's 2020. It's 2020. Get that through your head. Get that through your head.